Hello and welcome to the island of Mauritius in the middle of the Indian Ocean, where for the next 5 programmes, 4 heats and a final, we'll be finding out just who lays claim to the title of the world's strongest man 1996. We have a setting of white sands and turquoise seas all drenched in sun, and a cast of men who come from as far apart as Australia and Iceland, who all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and who have all said that this is the toughest competition so far. Now, Heat 1 is going to be especially interesting because we'll find out whether Magnus Ver Magnusson, who's won the title for the last 2 years, last year in stunning style in the Bahamas, remains strong enough to get through to the final.
Thanks very much, Philippa. Well, we have 6 strong men who are going to contest every heat. Each one of them has to take part in 4 very demanding events, and they're designed specifically to test every aspect of power, strength, and determination. Now, the scoring system is very simple. If you win an event, you score 6 points. It's 5 points for second, and so on, all the way down to a single point for last place. And as you've already heard, it's no good just being good at one event. You have to be a great all-rounder to make it through to the final, and it's just our 2 top scorers who will do that today. The hunt for World's Strongest Man 1996 starts here. So let's meet all 6 competitors, and we're going to start with that man who's won the title 3 times before. He's the reigning champion, Magnus Ver Magnusson of Iceland. He's won some top competitions in Europe this year, but Iceland's pride and joy will still have to be on top form to make it through this very tough heat. Nathan Jones is known as Mega Man. It's easy to see why at 6 feet 10 and 24 stones, but has he recovered from last year's arm injury? Paul Lepik, originally from Estonia, now living in Canada. This powerlifting champion is expected to put up a real fight. Lithuania's Stasius Mesius learned a lot from last year. This former Olympic weightlifter is a real threat. Finnish competitors are always tough to beat. Jorma Ojanaho, a former bodybuilder and powerlifter, looks every inch a strongman. This Russian's nickname is Dynamite. The smallest man this year, he's got a fiery nature, so we could see some very explosive moments.
And our very first event takes place on the east coast of the island at the exotic La Coco Beach Hotel, which normally finds people relaxing and stress-free. But not for our guys, no such luck. It's the arm-over-arm pull for them. 6 cars with a total weight of a massive 9 tons have to be pulled for 30 meters. So they're going to really have to put their backs into this one.
Now, you're defending champion, of course. Does that put any extra pressure on you?
It always does, doesn't it?
You obviously know Magnus Ver Magnusson, but what about the rest of the guys? They're a bunch of unknowns, really, to you.
Yeah, but I've heard they're very good. I've got like a world powerlifting champion there, and Finland's strongest man. That's their national sport, so he'll be very tough.
Stasius, welcome to World's Strongest Man. What did you learn from last year that's going to help you this year?
Ну, научился я многому. В прошлом году я ничего не знал про этих соревнованиях. Виды все были разные. За этот год я много научился, веса добавил. Ну, думаю, что в этом году выступлю лучше, чем в прошлом.
Which do you think will be your best event?
My best event, I think, it will aerobic events, because my body weight is too small for this competition now.
Which is your favorite event here?
My favorite, I guess I don't have favorite. I like them all.
Is there any one event you're looking forward to most of all?
The squat in the qualifying heats, and if I make it to the final, the deadlift should be a good one, and the Hercules holds.
So our first competitor, Magnusson, is ready. The local crowd still getting used to this invasion of giants.
Get ready. Magnus.
Magnus.
Rivals, take the straight. Go, come on.
World's Strongest Man 1996 is underway with an event that really puts these guys through some pain. Smooth and steady, that's the secret. Magnus making good progress. He's nearly halfway down the 30-meter course, and this is where it's going to start burning the hands and arms. Very slow progress, 9,000 kilos. Magnus beginning to struggle just a little bit. The last couple of meters are going to feel like a mile. Referee Dougie Edmonds blows his whistle. The clock stops at 56.87 seconds. The champion's defence of his title has started. And those are the mighty arms of Mega Man. His turn soon. It's not going to be as easy as that. It's Stasys Messias next. And the official just making sure there's no false start. Well, you heard what Vladimir had to say about body weight being important in this event. And despite the fact that Stasys is 120 kilograms body weight, that's considered lightweight by most people here. So I think he's going to find this very tough. Just coming up to halfway down the course, and look at the time. Magnusson is safe. Messias using his back as much as possible, but those cars are slowing all the time. He's getting plenty of encouragement. I bet he's never done anything as hard as this before. It's well over a minute, and he's gone. Absolutely flat on his back. Magnusson can't relax too much, though, because Messias's challenge is over. But it's Nathan Jones next. The Australian, perfectly built for this event, tall and rangy, and he can't wait to get started. It really was a terrible moment for everybody last year when Nathan's arm was broken in the arm wrestling. But he's come here with tremendous determination to make up for that huge disappointment. I think we can safely say he's recovered. He's well down the course. This is a very fast time. Jones making the best possible use of his massive physique. He's going to take Magnusson's time apart. 44.06. That is unbelievable. Jones is back, and back in a big way. Now, Magnus is the reigning champion. You've absolutely destroyed his time. Is that going to give you a lot of confidence for the rest of the events?
Oh, yeah. You know, because Magnus beat me by half a second last time I competed him in this event. So now I've beaten him like something like, you know, 10, 12 seconds.
And doesn't Magnus know it? Jones is very hungry for success, and he gets deserved congratulations. How on earth do they do it, Dad? Well, it's Vladimir Turchinsky who's going to try and show us next. He's much, much smaller than Jones by nearly a foot and 25 kilograms. The Russian is at a definite disadvantage here, but he's going to give us his best shot, that's for sure. Strength contests in the former Soviet states are becoming more frequent these days, and this man is one of the most popular on the circuit. Coming up to halfway. There's about 10 meters left, and Vladimir is almost coming to a grinding halt. I'm not sure he's going to finish the course. Once the cars are stationary, that's it. Oh my goodness, he's finding it very tough indeed. I think Dougie Edmonds getting ready to blow the whistle. There it goes. His completed distance will now be measured. It's about 23 meters. The Maple Leaf flying high tells us that it's Paul Lepek next. Very little is known about this man in this sort of competition, but he is a world champion powerlifter. Putting his back into it right from the start. He's very powerfully built. Making steady progress down the course, and Magnus and the rest keeping an eye on things, complete with stopwatch. Well, he had a flying start, but Paul's challenge beginning to fizzle out just a little. He's still short of Turchinsky's marker, and that's a bit of a surprise. Almost finished. A bit of anguish on his face. He now knows just how hard this contest is going to be. There it is. Dougie signals the end, and just one competitor left. Those two guys guaranteed some big points. Jorma Ojaneho bulging with muscles in his first ever World's Strongest Man competition. look at the size of those arms. It looks as though he could challenge for the top spot here.
I was told this is one of his best events.
So you nervous?
No, not really, because I'll be happy with the second place.
I bet he wouldn't. Yanaho is going great guns here. He's certainly going to relegate Magnus down the table, but can he beat the Aussie? It's going to be very close indeed. The clock ticking by, he's outside the winning time, but it's 47.06, a great performance, and he's in second place. The champion is well beaten in the first event.
The end of event 1, and Magnus already takes a back seat to the mighty Mega Man Nathan and Jorma, the dark horse from Finland.
I would have liked to win it, but I had to go first. I had to start it. And that's always a hard position in an event like that, or a truck pull. So I'm happy I didn't end up lower.
The fact that Magnus is in third place makes it very interesting now.
Yes, yeah. He's got to make sure he gets another first place somewhere in these 4 events. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble.
What about the next event? Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm hoping to win that event because I'm pretty good at loading.
So, after testing the guys' arms, we now move to this beautiful lagoon to test their legs. If you've watched World's Strongest Man before, you'll recognise this event immediately. It's a classic, the loading race. What they have to do is take those kegs, run through the water with them, up onto the platform on the beach and dump them there. Now, each keg apparently weighs 2 of me, so there should be no problem at all there then. Magnus is notoriously good at this event, but Nathan has the height, so I reckon it's going to be an interesting competition.
Well, not just interesting, it's already been very revealing as we watch Magnus and Stasius get ready. The first pairing have already been here. Paul Lepik managed just 1 keg and Turchinsky 3. So what can these guys achieve?
Stand by.
Well, as Philippus said, Magnus is very good at this. He's won it more than once in World's Strongest Man. Last year, in fact, Stasius did well too. Now then, that's interesting. Magnussen taking it on the shoulders, well clear of the water. I think Stasius hoping it was going to float. But it's Magnus Ver Magnussen who gets the advantage on the first barrel. The Icelander is such a good all-rounder in terms of power, strength and stamina, which is one of the most important factors here. Neither Paul Lepik or Turchinsky finished the course with all the barrels. That's number 2 for Magnus. Already well over 60 seconds. It's difficult to see how anybody's going to achieve all 5 within the time limit of 2 minutes. But Magnus certainly the best we've seen so far. This is number 3, slowing down just a little bit. Messias not as tall as Magnus. Everybody getting plenty of support from Turchinsky. Stasius, he's going to have to watch out, the tide's coming in. He's not very tall. Magnus certainly well in the lead. Now going for the last barrel. Each one weighing 105 kilos. Up we go, onto the shoulder. Stasius a little slower than Vladimir was for 3 barrels, and that'll be significant. The clock is ticking away. Dougie Edmonds blows the whistle. Magnus just short of the platform for the last barrel. Total exhaustion from both men. But Magnus has set a tough target for the rest. Nathan now going out to join Jorma. He won't be moving as fast as that in a couple of minutes. Both men looking relaxed though. Here we go. And both of them looking quite dainty through the water. It's a little easier in some ways when you know exactly what you've got to beat. If both men can carry 5 inside 2 minutes, Magnus will finish 3rd yet again. And Jorma it is who gets away fast. Nathan just behind the fin. The tide really is coming in quickly. Good job Nathan is knocking on for 7 feet tall. Jorma a mere 6 feet 3 inches. Oh, Nathan nearly destroyed the platform throwing that barrel onto it. Jorma very fit and agile. Over halfway now. just under a minute left. And this actually spells real problems for Magnusson. If he does finish third again, that's a lot of points to make up with just 2 events to go. Jorma is still in the lead. It looks as though he's really slowing up now. He's carried 8 Philippus so far, and that's a lot of weight. If anything, Nathan is catching up a little. Now, Ajanaho has finished 4 barrels faster than Magnus, and so has Nathan. So Magnusson definitely finishing down in third place in this event. But look at this, the Australian catching Ajanaho. Both men now on the last barrel. Can Nathan Jones catch Ajanaho? He can catch him. He is catching him. They're so close to the finish now. Ajanaho's dropped his barrel and Jones's legs have given out. There's the finish of the contest. What a marvellous contest it was. Both men exhausted. Ajanaho wins it.
So Nathan and Jorma monopolising places 1 and 2, and surprisingly Magnus is third twice in a row and finding it tough.
That was so close at the end.
Yes.
Did you see Nathan coming from behind?
I saw Nathan coming. I saw that he was a little bit behind. From the barrels, I was a bit faster in the barrel. But I thought we both were going to get all the 5 barrels. But then the war just couldn't take it.
I think you thought you were going to catch him on that last barrel, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's not the ground's not always even. I stepped into, I lost my footing. I thought I was going to catch him and make that time. As soon as I dropped it, I knew it was going to take a hell of a lot engine to get it back up again.
It already looks as though we could be down to a 3-horse race, and the pressure is certainly mounting on the defending champion, who's looking a little worried. With only 2 men to qualify for the final from this heat, Magnus looking out of sorts and a little confused in terms of how many points he needs from the remaining 2 events.
So, confrontations and calculations for Magnus. Now, just time to show you a glimpse of a part of Mauritius which changed the island's history. One gap in the reef where the Dutch luckily found an entrance to paradise and started a tradition that visitors have been carrying on ever since. Although now they don't have to navigate the treacherous reef, and the hotels have upgraded since then. Back to Lakoko Beach and the idyllic setting of the water's edge, where poolside entertainment has taken on a whole new meaning. A crowd is gathering, awe-inspired by the tortuous equipment, ready for the squat.
Well, it's been a long competition already. We're going to join it with just Paul Lepik and Magnus left in. But the big news is that Nathan has retired after just 3 lifts, assuming it's going to be enough. Now, you must have done your homework all right in terms of the points, have you?
Yeah, the points are fine. I'll be able to get, I'm very strong on the log lift, so I doubt any of these guys will beat me tomorrow.
Well, that's bad news for Magnusson. The Icelander for the time being, though, just looking for the win here. But it's Paul Lepik who's putting up the fight. And he's now going for 385 kilograms. That's a massive 850 pounds. About the same as 2 car engines. Former world powerlifting champion. He should be good at this. Oh, that's easy. Good lift. And Magnus now beginning to wake up to the fact he's in trouble. He has to produce something special here if he wants one of those 2 automatic qualifying places. That's his girlfriend Asda, always at his side and always very vocal. Oh, that's even easier than Lepik. He's not the 3-time champion for nothing. More weight on the machine, up to 410 kilograms, just over 900 pounds. And Lepik now thriving on this challenge. He must get it. A failure and you're finished, because Magnus has taken less attempts up to this weight. The Icelander is ahead. Well, the machine is shaking under the pressure, but he's got it, and Magnus has to go again. The Icelander lifted to 437 kilograms last year in the Bahamas. So maybe he's even got something in reserve, but this is still a massive weight. The pressure on the shoulders is going to be agonizing. Oh, this is a very big lift indeed, and Lepik has to do it all again, and it's delight for Iceland. 425 kilograms now. If Paul fails this one, Magnus will get his first victory. But I tell you what, the Canadian has done Magnus a huge favour, putting himself between Magnusson and Ianniho and Jones. Oh, no success this time, but certainly Paul's best performance so far, and second place.
An event full of reversal of fortune for everyone, and Magnus proving once again that he works best under pressure.
So this next event will decide the fate of those top three men, and I wonder if Nathan Jones will regret his decision to quit from the squat early.
Nathan's come in very strong. I've been a little bit unlucky two first events. So when you have these 4 events, it always comes a little bit down to luck also.
A change of scene now. Port Louis on the west coast is the capital of Mauritius. Before the event, time for a quick look around the market for Nathan, who towers over the locals and me, and I'm 5'6", as he tries to relax with Magnus Samuelsson, who actually broke Nathan's arm in last year's arm wrestling. It just proves that there are no hard feelings and the guys do really support each other through the competition. Still, no one said that being strong meant you had taste. Shopping obviously isn't Nathan's strong point. And we come to Place Dame in the centre of Port Louis for a very exciting final event in Heat 1. In all her many years of standing here, Queen Victoria's probably never seen anything like this, and we're not quite sure if she approves. Either way though, event 4 in this heat is the log lift repetition. The weight, 105 kilos, in the form of a log, like this. They have to take the log, lift it from the ground, high above their heads until their arms are extended, and that is when the lift is counted. Then they return the log to the ground under control and keep doing it again and again and again. They've got 1:15 to complete as many repetitions as possible. Now, some of the guys have done this event before, but in previous years they didn't have to lift the log all the way from the ground, so really it's new to everybody, and they're going to have to get used to it pretty quickly if they want one of those precious 2 places in the final.
Well, to be fair to Paul Lepik, he's now just competing for pride, but it's Magnusson with him, Jones and Ianniho, who are the guys who can make it. It all depends on the next few minutes. Messias and Turczynski have already lifted with 7 and 8 repetitions, so that's the target. When Gary Taylor was defending champion, he failed to get through the heats the following year, and Iceland hopes history will not repeat itself. It's Magnus who's away the quickest, from the ground, off the legs to the chest, a big push from the arms required. And Magnusson displaying good technique and tremendous power. Paul finding it a little tough. Well, this weight, 110 kilos, equal to a big fridge freezer every time it's lifted. And they're coming up to the target set by Stasius and Vladimir. And Magnus giving the log a real bounce off his waist to help it up to the chest. Magnus clearly in the lead. Paul coming up to number 8. Oh, that looks so easy. Come on, Paul, get this extra 1, that's it. And Magnus really producing a fine performance here. Paul is going to struggle with this one, I fear. He must get the arms straight. Magnus well ahead. You've got to lock the arms out. He's got it. It's 14 for Magnusson. Ianniho has all this pain to come. Lepik looks as though he's finished. And they're both out of time. 14 for Magnusson. That's some target for the last 2. Well, Jones said he was good at this, and he's going to need to be.
Magnus, a fantastic effort. 14 in total. And Nathan and Jorma to go, is it going to be enough?
I wouldn't bet on it. As like I said before, it's really disadvantaged. You have to go in front of them again.
That's true enough, and with these two guys having arms the size of tree trunks, all Magnus can do is sit and sweat. This is to decide the places in the final. Oh, well, straight away, Nathan's in trouble. The referee discounting the first lift because he could not lock out that right arm. Yanaho drives it upwards. Magnus counting every lift. Jones really is having difficulty locking out that right arm. I wonder if last year's injury is having an effect on him here. Jones is really looking off balance. And neither of them are scoring as fast as Magnus was. Jones said he was good at this event, but he's beginning to struggle already. Now, even if a Yanaho doesn't beat Magnussen's score, as long as he beats Jones, he's going to go through to the final with the Icelander. There's just one repetition between the two of them. Jones's retirement from the squat could have been a huge miscalculation of judgment, giving a Yanaho an extra points advantage. Magnussen doesn't need a calculator to work out what's happening. The Finn really has got a solid physique, hasn't he? And Jones is finished, and that means Magnus is through. Yanaho is close to the target, but he's going to run out of time. He gets second place, but the big story is that the defending champion has made it. Oh, and Jones is not best pleased. He's on his way home.
Well, despite Nathan's predictions that no one could beat him, Magnus explodes into first place, and Jorma's steady strength gives him another second.
We have our first two qualifiers for the final. Magnus Berg Magnusson, along with Finland's new strength sensation, Jorma Yanaho.
I'm very happy to get to the finals. I'm very happy. It's a great honor for me to be in the final.
I had a tough heat last year. I got a tough heat this year again. But I must say one thing for Nathan. He's been doing very well. He's tough, and he should deserve to be in there also, in the final. But unfortunately, there are only two guys going. So, and I'm happy to be one of them.
I'll bet you are.
Back to a much sunnier East Coast after a really good fight for those two valuable places. Magnus obviously got the fire back in his belly, and him and Jorma both go through to the final. 3 heats to go, and in Heat 2 next week, Forbes Cowan, the Scot, is actually tipped for the top in some more magnificent events. We'll hope to see you then, but now from Mauritius, goodbye.
And the next heat is tomorrow on BBC One at 12:45. Daily visits for the world's strongest man.
Hello and welcome to the stunning tropical island of Mauritius, which is this year's setting for the world's strongest man. This, the second week of competition, promises to be just as dramatic as Heat 1, where Magnus Berg Magnusson, last year's winner, and the dark horse from Finland, Jorma Yanaho, managed to claim their places in the final. Now this week, the mighty power of Herrick Badenhorst, who was last year's second place, is pitched against, amongst others, Forbes Cowan from Scotland, who's returned to the competition looking fitter and stronger than ever before. For more details on the competitors, here's Paul Dickinson.
Thanks very much, Philippa. So 6 more strongmen taking part in 4 very demanding events. Each one of them is going to test them to the limit. The scoring, of course, is straightforward. If you win an event, you get 6 points. It's 5 for second place, down to just 1 point if you come sixth. But as we saw last week, mistakes can be very costly indeed, with only 2 places in the final at stake. Well, as you've heard already, there's British interest in this heat, but first of all, we're going to meet that man who was second last year. He's one of the most experienced guys around. It's Gerrit Badenhorst from South Africa.
Gerrit gave his greatest performance ever in the Bahamas despite carrying all sorts of injuries. Can he stay in one piece this year? Hjalti Arnesen has desperately tried in the past to be a competitor in this competition. This year he's made it yet another Icelandic strongman. Forbes Cowan is Scotland's big hopeful for the title. If he can conquer his nerves during these heats, some say he could go all the way. Bill Linden has dropped his nickname Koala. He says it makes him sound soft and cuddly. He's so big, perhaps we should call him Ayers Rock. Phil Martin's got a nickname he's happy with, Stonehenge. No reflection on his age, more a question of his love of lifting anything heavy. And finally, Evgeny Popov is delighted to be Bulgaria's first ever contestant in World's Strongest Man. This man is a legend in the world of weightlifting.
And this mighty clan gather at Lococo Beach Hotel on the east coast of Paradise, where the sweating starts in the first event, Samson's Barrow, which isn't such light work as it sounds. This truck weighs 1.5 tons.
Gerrit, the first event is about to start. How has your preparation gone this year?
Not very well. I struggled this year a lot with little injuries. The one from last year took me about 4 months. But as I say, when you stand there on the line and it's your chance, that's a time that you must perform.
Now, there are some very tough competitors in this heat. What do you know about them?
Well, no, Badenhorst, he's one of the old timers. He doesn't make mistakes, so I'll be chasing him. There's a couple of new people who are very strong as well, so I mean, it's the same old story. Don't make mistakes, or you've had it.
And this is one of the new men enjoying the experience and keen to get away to the best possible start. Evgeny Popov from Bulgaria.
Ready? Put brake off.
Well, Billy the driver taking the brakes off, and away we go. The first part of the test, a massive deadlift, getting the back wheels off the ground, and then the walk over 25 meters, trying to keep the whole thing balanced. Popov totally at home on an Olympic weightlifting stage, but this is so different. Oh, he's down. Now, this is not a good start. He can continue. There's 90 seconds in all to complete the course. He's struggling a little bit now. He's close to the line, and the front end of the car has to go across. 54.37 seconds, even with those 2 mistakes. Exhausted, the car goes back for the next man.
What was the most difficult part of that event?
The breath. I have power, but I have no breath. It's quite different from my exercise. But I finished.
Phil Martin next, a really massive man at almost 26 stones.
Look.
1.5 tons of car, and away we go. Oh, he's off balance already. Now the handbrake goes on there, so there's no advantage in trying to push the car along. Well, a disappointing start for the American, looking very tough already. He's all over the place. Bill Linden, the Australian, is next to go. And there's Popov's time to beat, 54.37. There's no way Phil Martin's going to achieve that. I think he's had enough. A very disappointing start for one of last year's finalists, and the crowd sympathetic with their applause.
Big problems, Phil?
Well, no, I've never really completed a Samson's Barrow, so I was hoping to do better than that, but there's 3 events left, so
Let's just
if I win the next 3.
Let's have a look at your hands. Now, the big problem surely is going to be how can you recover for the next few events?
I'll just have to put it out of my mind and go.
That's one of the hazards of strongman. The grip is so important in this event, and Phil's hands are ripped to shreds. So Bill Linden gets away well over the first 10 meters. He's so keen to do a good job, having seen fellow Aussie Nathan Jones eliminated in the last heat. He's got to keep his body close to that truck. He gets up again very quickly. Oh, and down again in spectacular fashion. His left hand seemed to be sticking to the handle. Now, can he recover from that? He's got a fair way to go and not a lot of time to do it in. And this event looking much more difficult than we thought. I think Bill is finished. He's ahead of Martin, but Popov is still leading.
Scotland!
The first appearance of Forbes Cowan, and the best crowd for any of the events we've had so far. And they're really trying to encourage these guys.
Foot brake. Left.
I think Forbes is looking forward to this event. He's got a bit of a reputation for carrying heavy stuff quickly. And he's looking comfortable, that's for sure. Always happy on two wheels. He's a bit of a motorbike fanatic. And this is certainly the most impressive walk down the course we've had so far. He's going to destroy Evgeny's time. Look at the clock. 20.99 seconds, and he keeps going through the line. That's warmed the spectators up, and Forbes' girlfriend, Angela.
In a funny sort of way, I know these events hurt, but did you enjoy that one?
I enjoy it. An event starts to hurt me, I enjoy it even more.
Well, the next man is not afraid of pain either. Hjalti Arnason of Iceland. For so long now, this man has had to be content with living in the shadow of countryman Magnus Sverre Magnusson, and occasionally being a tester in these events in the practice rounds, but he's not going to be happy with that start. Now then, Billy the driver has been bumped around enough today, thank you very much. Strength in the back and shoulders is so important. He's closing on Linden's mark. Come on now, Hjalti. That's Magnusson shouting for his man. Oh, just outside a minute. He's staggering all over the place. In third position. Well, it's the Rainbow Nation next. South Africa's Gerrit Badenhorst. And Gerrit runner-up last year, but to beat Cowan's time, he needs to do something a bit special here. The initial lift won't be a problem. He's a former world record holder for the deadlift. And he's huffing and puffing just a little bit, but going well. Cowan's time on the screen, and the Scot hoping to hang on to first place. Well, he's obviously done that. Now, how far and how fast can Badenhorst get? Can he beat Popov's time of 54.39? It doesn't look as though he's going to do that either. Gerrit has certainly lost his composure. Just a metre short of the line now. One more heave. And he's gone into third place.
Well, you'll have seen poor Billy, who had to sit in the truck during all that, but you won't have noticed the smile on his face when he knew the result. He's a Scot.
I knew Gerrit was fast and very strong, but I had a problem with his grip. I just didn't know if his grip was going to hold out over the 30 metres, and it didn't. If he had held on, it could have pushed me for first place.
Maritime Medley is event 2. Lovely sounding name, but actually a really tough event. And size seems to matter as much as strength here. Now, the nautical objects which make up Maritime Medley are down here. The sack, the keg, the mast, the anchor and the chain. They all have to be placed on this wall in order. And as you can see, the platforms here are at different levels. So if you're taller, it might be in your favour. Well, we'll soon see. But the other thing is that none of these objects are straightforward to lift. Each link in that chain weighs 50 kilos, which is about the same as a small fridge. Something none of us would even think about picking up. But then, to be honest, none of these men are quite like any of us.
That's very true. Just look at Bill Linden's physique. There's no spare tyres there, and he and Phil Martin complete the first double act.
Stand by. Ready.
Well, these are two of the biggest men in the competition, but I wonder how their stamina is going to hold out. By the time they get to the heaviest object, the chain, they're going to be exhausted. The 90-kilo sack went up safely. Now to the barrel, only 60 kilos, but very awkward to lift. And now onto the mast. 110 kilos, 17 stones, and Phil Martin having problems. Linden is streaking ahead now. The temperature out there way up in the 90s. Now to the anchor, and Bill like a raging bull. Phil Martin just managing to sort out the mast. It's a very good show by the Australian. He's in 5th place after the first event. Phil Linden very nearly finished, but a couple of problems there. Phil Martin recovering quite well. The chain is so awkward, 550 pounds in total. That should be just about enough. The clock stops at 109.48. Martin is defeated. Oh, he's looking exhausted. And that's not going to endear him to the crowd. Certainly Martin's frustration silenced the crowd, but they're going to warm up to the next pair. Gerrit Badenhorst and Hjalti Arnason on the far side from Iceland. Arnason, rough and tough.
Ready?
Badenhorst on this near side, always determined and a real showman. Now this first object, the sack, is where it all went wrong for Gary Taylor in the final last year. Iceland just ahead at the moment. This is fast. This is level pegging. Oh, and Arnason nearly had the barrel off with the mast, and he's dropped it. That's Gerrit's wife, Olivia. She's going to give him what for if he slows down. Now, Hjalti is miles behind now, just getting to grips with the mast. And the Springbok is streaking ahead. Just the chains left for Gerrit Badenhorst now. A quarter of a ton. And look at the time. It's 1:09 to beat, and there's no doubt he's going to do it. Arnason on the far side, he's on the last leg. Still under a minute, 59.06. Fantastic. Hjalti looking totally exhausted once again. He could even run out of time, and that means the officials keep a check on when he landed the anchor to compare that with Phil Martin to work out the places. Oh, he's absolutely wrecked. No more.
Your wife was watching. She said she wished you'd take up something a bit gentler, like tennis.
No, I don't think I will. I've got the right temperament for that.
Run by. Finally, it's Cowan and Popov. Oh, both men getting away to a cracking start, almost sprinting to the first obstacle. Level pegging on the 14-stone sack. Forbes Cowan is in the lead after the first event. He's just creeping ahead, but Popov has made an impressive start too. And Forbes Cowan looking very good in these first two events. He's not as muscular and bulky as, say, Badenhorst, but he's very athletic and fast. Oh, Popov's dropped the mast. That's going to lose a lot of time, just as Arnason did. And Cowan is well away. Evgeny all at sea with the mast. Look at this. It's desperate for the Bulgarian. Now then, 2 wins in a row for the Scot would be incredible if he can just get this chain on board. He's done it. 54.1. That is incredible. And poor old Popov on the far side. Surely he's going to run out of time. Forbes sticking around to give his support. Badenhorst now sure of second place. The Bulgarian goes for the chain. Now 90 seconds is the time limit. His time for the anchor was slow, so he's down in about 5th place, so he needs to get this on board. Just 2 seconds left. He's out of time. It's round 2 to Scotland, and frustration for the Bulgarian.
And the moral of the story so far seems to be that Forbes not only has a brave heart, but a generous one when it comes to fellow competitors, and it hasn't lost him any points.
Evgeny Popov lost valuable points there, enabling Gerrit to jump into second, but that's not all the jumping the South African did in Mauritius.
On a visit to La Pirogue over on the west coast of the island, he was more than tempted to jump ship when we took him, his wife Olivia, and Big Phil Martin deep-sea fishing. It all started brilliantly. Lovely day, the sun was shining. He had to have his photo taken with Paul, but there we are, that wasn't too bad. Everyone, in fact, was very jovial. A great day lay ahead. The lines were laid, and both men were all excited about a spot of wrestling with some monsters from the deep.
I'm very sorry, guys. This is my first trip into the deep sea.
Even losing his hat was funny. But soon, Gerrit's massive sense of humour was to evaporate.
Well,
Unfortunately, conditions have got a little bit choppy. And although I'm enjoying myself, everyone downstairs is a bit green, shall we say. They're not having a very nice time. So after all that, we're going home. To be honest, I didn't really mind. It gave the monsters from the deep a rest for another day, and I blame the guys for eating such huge breakfasts. Mind you, they'll need all the energy they've got for the next event set on the stunning lagoon at Lococo Beach, the Deadlift Hold, a car weighing nearly 250 stone plus passengers, which they must lift for the longest time possible.
So as Hjalti Arnason gets ready, I can tell you that the target has already been set. Phil Martin held on for 44 seconds and Bill Linden beat that with 55. Lifting straps are allowed to help the grip in this event.
Are you ready? Yep. Lift!
Up we go for the Icelander. And this event using almost the same muscles as Samson's Barrow. There's no walking. You've just got to hang on for dear life. He's shaking just a little bit, and that noseband supposedly helping the breathing, but Arnason doesn't seem to be doing much of that at the moment. He looks solid as a rock there. He's going to go into the lead. Hjalti always getting the crowd behind him. He's going to go over a minute. He's in the lead. Now hang on, Hjalti, just a little bit more. This is very, very good. Down it goes, 69.9. That's a great effort. Oh, don't get too carried away. There's one young boy with his Muscle Man memento from this year as we watch Evgeny Popov. And he's got a second place and a fifth to his credit so far, so he needs to finish in the top half of this contest to stand a chance of qualifying for the final. Now, I think we can assume that Cowan and Badenhorst, who are yet to go, are going to score highly here. So the Bulgarian needs something well over a minute to be in there with a chance. Badenhorst looking interested to see how this former Olympian can cope with the 1.5-ton car. He's certainly used to lifting very heavy weights in this sort of position with his weightlifting exercises. And 1 minute approaching fast. The other clock showing Arnason's lead. What a fantastic setting for this competition, and it's so hot out there. There's a lot of interest in this man, especially from Hjalti there, complete with his stopwatch. Look at this, he's gone into the lead. 73.48 seconds, so how about that? The lead, and he can finish no worse than third.
South Africa.
Well, this man has always said he likes lifting heavy stuff, and now is his chance to show us all. There's Olivia, his wife, and Peter there, South African, one of the testers, just helping the straps. Away we go. Herritt looking a little bit unsteady from the start. He needs to lock out those arms and the back and the legs. He's got a big target to chase, that's for sure. And look at this, the time to beat, 73 seconds, and he's closing on it all the time. He gave us a little scare early on. And the crowd going absolutely crazy. He's in the lead. Now, like Popov, he's used to this sort of lifting. The man from Bloemfontein is really hanging on grimly here. This is a tremendous effort. Olivia cheering her man. This is a magnificent time. Total commitment from Badenhorst. 99.19 seconds. That is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in strongman. Even Forbes Cowan has to be a little bit impressed with that.
The matter of, like they say in Afrikaans, vastbijt.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Hang in there.
That could have already taken you through to the final.
Yeah, that's what my aim was. I fell from 40 seconds, very hard, and well, just a matter of going through now.
Just one more to go. Forbes is right here.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to beat.
He must be a bit. I doubt it, but. That's what's going to
Forbes Cowan certainly looked a little stunned while Badenhorst was making his lift. And I have to say, it looks as though he's fighting for second place now. Now, he wasn't looking forward to this initial lift here. It's going to be agonizing. He's so long in the back. He's a very tall man. And how much will that lift take out of him? He's not a great deadlifter, and he certainly doesn't like the sun. He's almost turning the same color as the car, but he is under control now, and that's important. Steady as she goes. He's getting close to 1 minute, so he's already gone past 2 men. Arneson is the next target on 69 seconds. Now, come on, Forbes, hang on. Yes, he's got that place. He's gone past Arneson. Popov the next one on 73 seconds. He goes past him as well. 74.15. What a struggle, but what a performance.
Why do they do it to themselves? Seasickness obviously didn't affect Herritt's performance, and he's making up that early lost ground very quickly now.
And that means that Forbes Cowan is now in the enviable position of a guaranteed place in the final. All he has to do is turn up for the last event.
I knew I had to come in within the first 2 to get to the final. And after like 40 seconds I couldn't hear anything. So my head was going numb, so I was just hanging in to a collapse really.
From deserted beaches, the capital of Mauritius, Port Louis, comes as a bit of a culture shock, but its busy harbour is the heart of the island. And believe me, the traffic stopped of its own accord when we showed up for the final event of Heat 2. The fierce fight for the second qualification in this heat takes place between Evgeny and Herritt here in front of the Colonial Building in Port Louis. And a huge crowd has gathered to watch this battle of the giants. Now, event 4 is about the same as you'd find in your local gym, a leg press. Except the weight here is 10 girls, all right? Yeah! This is Peter, our tester. You're going to hold on tight, aren't you? Okay. Altogether, they weigh about 500 kilos, and that's what the men have got to lift. They've all been moaning that their legs are the hardest part of the body to work on, and obviously that's what they're going to be using this time. But to be honest, they're moaning about nothing. Some of their legs are as big as my waist.
Well, I can tell you that Forbes has already completed the required 1 repetition for the single point he needed, and Hjalti Arneson here almost burst doing 18.
I'm off. You're right, I shouldn't have come.
Poor old Phil Martin. 10 repetitions and he's on his way back to the United States. So the next man we see is Bill Linden of Australia. And that pointer on the side of the machine, it must pass the black marker for the repetitions to count. Well, Bill gets away well. He's into a good rhythm already and he looks very comfortable. Dougie Edmonds, the referee, counting. So the men know exactly what the target is. That's 10. It's a good score. Oh, that one is discounted, though. Just adjusts himself. And that one is discounted as well, but he's away again on 11. Evgeny Popov is the man to go next. And incidentally, Philippa, I've got news for you. This man's legs are at least 30 inches around. That's just a little bit bigger than your waist. Well, this is Bill's best effort so far. He won't make it through to the final, but he's certainly finished with a flourish. He's getting close to the 60-second time limit. He's on 22. That's a tremendous score, and Bill has done very, very well indeed.
Evgeny Popov, Bulgaria.
Evgeny Popov's last chance to make a bid for the final, which is almost an impossible task. He'd have to win this event, with Herritt Badenhorst coming last. With Forbes only scoring 1, that's a major problem.
2, 3.
I don't think Bulgaria is going to have its first ever finalist, but I have to say this man has been extremely popular with the crowd and his fellow competitors. Very modest, but very competitive. And his English has improved immensely as well. And 1 or 2 of the girls there looking a bit nervous. Herritt feeling the strain just a little bit. Oh, that one was discounted. He's struggling. He's got 11 on the board. I think that's just about it. 1 more. Oh, it wasn't counted. That's it. 11 scored for Evgeny Popov of Bulgaria, and it's back to the drawing board, maybe for next year. Now, I assume this man has done his homework.
Badenhorst, South Africa.
He could just settle for a couple of repetitions to go through to the final, or he can even go for a higher total and win this week's heat ahead of Forbes Cowan. If he can beat Evgeny's total, he'll beat Forbes. So this one's for a bit of one-upmanship. Dougie Edmonds saying it must go beneath that black mark on the side of the machine. And it's a very easy start for Badenhorst. And you can even hear the machine creaking under the strain. We're going to say, don't try this in your local health club. He's not busting a gut. And he's even had time to wink at one of the girls on top of the platform. Well, some of the other competitors have certainly done their homework. They're shouting at him, saying, go for 12. If he gets it, and he's got it, he's the overall winner. Big cheers for Big Badenhorst, and it's South Africa and Scotland through to the final.
No pain, no gain. Surprises from Bill and Hjalti, who both pulled out the stops for this one, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough.
And it's confirmation that Scotland eased through with 2 individual wins for Forbes Cowan, and Badenhorst has done it yet again.
Now, you're in the final again. How many times is it now?
This is my 5th final in a row, so...
You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much. I hope this year I can pull it off without injuries.
Feels great to win the final. Last year I never made the final and I've never felt that in my life. It feels a lot better this year. But the Claymore's been sharpened up this year, so there's going to be a few people chopped down a peg or two.
So, quite literally, a really great finish for some at the end of that heat, but good to know we've got a Scot in the final, and it will be interesting to see the massive Herritt have another crack at the title after he came so close last year. The man of the heat for me, though, was Evgeny Popov. He'd never even seen those events, and yet he gave it a really good try. I reckon he'll be one to watch next year. Next week, though, you watch us for Heat 3 back in Mauritius. See you then. Bye-bye.
In fact, the world's strongest man is back tomorrow at the later time, 2:15. Shrunken.
Hello and welcome to what's got to be one of the most incredible competitions in the world. The fight is on against the stunning backdrop of Mauritius for the title of the World's Strongest Man 1996. Now, we already know who 4 of the finalists are, and by the end of this, Heat 3, we'll know the names of another 2. If you've been watching so far, you'll have already realised what a mixed bunch the competitors are, and this week is no exception. We range from the very stoic Regan Vagadel from the Faroe Islands to Magnus Samuelsson, who's spending his honeymoon with his new wife, Christina, competing in this event. And I know I'm not meant to be biased, but I'm a bit of a sucker for romance. Here's Paul with more information on the competitors.
6 brand new strongmen this week, 4 very demanding events, which is going to test every ounce of their strength and power. As always, the scoring is very simple. If you win an event, it's 6 points, it's 5 for second, and so on down to just that 1 point if you make last place. Now, tactics in World's Strongest Man have always been very important. We witnessed that last week when Gerrit Badenhorst and Scotland's Forbes Cowan just timed it perfectly to go through to the final. Who'll join them? We'll soon find out. So let's meet them all now, starting with the giant Magnus Samuelsson of Sweden.
He may be on his honeymoon, but as his wife well knows, his whole life is dedicated to becoming the strongest man in the world. Raimunds Bugmanis is Latvia's first ever export to World's Strongest Man. Atlanta was his last port of call as an Olympic weightlifter. Colin Cox is New Zealand's strongest man. Always passionate about strength contests, this Maori believes he can win any physical test. Heinz Olesch is one of the most experienced men around. His physical statistics are very impressive too, ideally suited to this sort of contest. There's a huge amount of interest in the Faroe Islands about the performances here of Regan Vagadal in his first ever international competition. Finally, Holland's Beren Venneberg just missed out on a place in the final last year. This time he's bigger and stronger and totally focused on qualification.
It's not difficult to see why more and more people are flocking to Mauritius for their holidays. The setting for our competition, Lakoko Beach, is a great place to unwind. Whether you're a budding Sharon Davis, desperate to be Jacques Cousteau, just out for the odd thrill, or concentrating on winning our first event, the Super Yoke, a formidable weight of over 350 kilograms.
It's a very unusual way to spend your honeymoon, isn't it?
Yeah, but pretty much all the men here is kind of unusual, so.
Your last big competition was in Atlanta in the Olympic Games. How different do you think this sort of contest is going to be?
Труднее, наверное, будет здесь, потому что это мои вторые соревнования только, а в Атланте как будто я уже выступал и на чемпионатах мира, и на чемпионатах Европы, там легче было.
You've got the strength, you've got the courage, but are you relaxed? Are you nervous?
I'm very comfortable, to be honest. I feel relaxed. I think the experience over the last 12 months will pay dividends, and it'll be all on the day, as always.
Well, as far as today is concerned, the temperature already up in the 90s once again as we see our first strongman get ready for the 25-metre course. Raimunds Bugmanis, our Olympian and our third competitor from the former Soviet states, where strength contests have always been so popular. Now then, Olympic weightlifters are renowned for having great power in the legs and massive strength in the back. This test could be just the job for the Latvian. Coming up towards 15 metres to go and making good progress, and balance so important with this awesome weight across the shoulders. This is much quicker than any of the practice runs we've seen so far. Look at this, 22.51. That's a great start for Bugmanis, a superb debut. Mr. and Mrs. Samuelsson getting ready. Magnus, a great beast of a man and raring to go. Dougie Edmonds just telling Magnus to get ready. Edmonds the referee.
Stand clear.
Well, Magnus has really worked on his legs since last year. Oh, I spoke too soon. He's staggering like crazy. He's finding it tough. And Christina there finding it tough as well, but not half as tough as her man. This is desperate for Samuelsson. He can't get going at all. Oh dear. No. A bad start indeed. Not a happy lady. Heinz Olesch getting strapped up, complete with that extra thick blue super suit for support. Oh, the German's got enormous shoulders. He's only got 7 metres to go to beat Samuelsson. Steady as she goes. Oh, now then, that gave his supporters a bit of a scare. He's away now, into his stride and looking good, even with 700 pounds on his back. That's like carrying two 25-stone men. 22.51 is still the time to beat by Bugmanis. He's getting closer. He's just outside, 1/10 of a second behind the leading time. A magnificent effort. Vagadal next.
You're just 1/10 of a second slower than this man. But it was very quick.
Yeah, I think the reason is I didn't eat really good.
Your start was very dodgy. It looked as though you were going to drop it at one point.
Whole body was shaking. But the first event is over, so let's continue.
Incidentally, Raimunds Bugmanis, his English is not so hot, but I think he got the point there from Olesch. Well, the public address announcer just told the crowd that Regan Vagadal is from the Faroe Islands. And this guy understands English perfectly, so he won't be very happy about that. But he's going great guns here. Once these guys get over the initial shock of the weight and the problems of balance, they seem to get faster and faster. This is a good effort. He's really going for the line. I think he may just be outside the leaders. Oh, my goodness. Oh, everybody is stunned at that. That looks like a very nasty accident indeed. And naturally, everybody concerned. There's his coach. We can see it again, though I'm not sure I want to. I think he was going so fast, he just lost control. That could have been a terrible accident. Well, believe me, his head does hurt, but these guys are very tough.
Regan, your time was 24.50. That puts you in third place, despite the fall. Are you pleased?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. The first time, so just have to try to do my best.
Does your neck hurt at all? Was that an injury?
Unbelievable composure by Vagedal as our fifth man gets ready. The Dutchman, Beren Venenberg. Another man wearing that thick elastic suit for support.
Lift.
The big squat into the upright position. A massive weight for Venenberg. It doesn't look very comfortable, does it? Mind you, if it was easier, it wouldn't really be a world's strongest man contest, would it? But now we're moving. And it's still that time of Bergmanis, which is sitting pretty. Bergmanis and Olesh are in the big points at the moment. Well, he's going to finish the whole 25-meter course, I think, but it's actually quite slow. He's going to be around about 5 or 6 seconds off the pace. There you have it, 29.55. He's back in fourth place with just one man to go. The New Zealand flag shows it's time for our last man, Colin Cox, to see if it's going to be his day after all. He always wears that Maori symbol around his neck. I wonder if he can tap into any power that it's got. He's one tough customer, is Colin. Very softly spoken and thoughtful, but once he gets into a competition, he's as tough as old boots. I don't think Bergmanis is going to believe it if he wins. His first ever international competition. And win he's going to. Colin Cox has got some way to go. He'll be outside of that time. He's going to try and go for Vagedal's time of 24.5, but that's gone as well. 26.87. The Kiwi is in fourth place.
Were you surprised that you won?
Я надеялся, конечно, но не такой успех.
This is a surprise not for him. This is a surprise for his friends.
No good translation.
It's not?
So we're underway with Heat 3, and after some of the surprises we've had before, the question is, can Rymans and Heinz keep it up? Well, let's hope Magnus Samuelsson's honeymoon improves now in event 2, the wheel flip. Not a difficult concept, you just flip tyres down a course. It just becomes difficult when you realise the tyres are this big. The course is 20 metres long, the men compete in pairs and they're timed. But the real exhaustion factor comes from the fact that they're working on sand. It's guaranteed to be a hard path to tread.
And judging by the way Magnus Samuelsson is bounding out there to join Beren Venenberg, he can't wait for the challenge to begin.
2, 1.
So the initial push and then a very big lift required to get this 500-pound tyre in motion. That's 225 kilograms. And the Dutchman going well. Samuelsson finding that initial lift a little bit more difficult. Venenberg on his second. He's used to this sort of lifting. He's an accomplished weightlifter and powerlifter. Samuelsson, very much taller, finding it a bit of a struggle. That picture is deceptive. Venenberg is well ahead. You can see from that picture. 2 more pushes for Venenberg should do it. Oh, he's loving this. Magnus trying to get psyched up as well. Venenberg, there he is, 48.69 seconds. Tremendous performance. That is the target. And Magnus getting a real ear bashing from Christina. I think he's just about had enough. He needs 2 more pushes as well, and that seems impossible. That's enough. It will be measured, and Magnus will be very frustrated.
How do you feel now?
Tired.
Silly question.
That's good.
And just to show that these tyres are very heavy, Gregor and Colin, 2 of our helpers, struggling to get them back to the start. There was certainly a big difference in the performances of the first two, so how will Vagadal and Cox get on, and how is our Faroe Islanders' head? Colin Cox totally dwarfed by the tyre.
2, 1.
Now, after the first push, this is where it's very difficult to get a grip. Well, it's neck and neck. Down it goes, equal at the moment. Vagadal, amazingly, no ill effects at all from the first event. And he's edging just ahead out of shot. That's Colin Cox. And Vagadal now going for a third. He really is a powerhouse. Colin's got his second, but Vagadal well ahead. And that time by Beren Venenberg is looking better and better. Vagadal will need at least one more after that one. Cox is closing in on the marker of Samuelsson. Now, come on. Just one more should do it. Cox has got a fair way to go. Still behind Samuelsson there. This is the one for Vagadal. A big push now. The tyre digging into the sand, and that was what Philippa was talking about, making it so much more difficult. There you have it, 67.8. A very gutsy performance by the man from the Faroe Islands. Now then, what can Colin Cox do now? He's still behind the marker of Samuelsson, and Magnus knows it. It looks as though Colin's had enough. He's totally run out of steam. The muscles have seized up. Colin's marker just inches behind Magnus Samuelsson, and that will cost him at least 1 point. The final pairing, the top two from event one, Heinz Olesch and Raymond Bugmanis, who is gaining in confidence with every step, and we suspect understanding more English than he led us to believe originally. Heinz Olesch, the strongest man in Germany, Bugmanis, the strongest man in Latvia. Now, can Bugmanis make it two in a row, or can Olesch turn the tables on the Latvian? Straight away, both of them turning that tyre over easily the first time. Olesch now on the lead, and Bugmanis beginning to struggle. Venenberg looking at the clock carefully. He really is struggling. Olesch desperately trying to get that tyre upright. That's the easy part. He goes past Colin Cox and Samuelsson. Well, remarkable performances, because neither of them have really got to grips with this event. Both of them being filmed for posterity by Colin Cox, but there won't be any smiles for the camera. Now, Olesch looks as though he's blown up. He'll manage to push it over. He knows he's safe in third place because he sees the marker of Cox and Samuelsson. He gives up. He's in third place. That prompts Bugmanis to quit as well. And Venenberg is delighted, as is girlfriend Sylvia.
Oh, good for him. But Raymond's going from one extreme to the other in this heat, from first place in the opening event to last in this. And it seems that concussion has done nothing to impair Regan's performance.
Of course, that is okay. It'd be nice if you have 6 competitors now. When you make a mistake, you can also go on, and maybe you can come in the final also.
At the halfway point, consistency the name of the game for Heinz Olesch, tied on the top of the table with the big surprise of the competition, Regan Vagadal.
Are you disappointed with that event?
No power in the legs.
Where did it hurt you most?
The legs were like jelly.
Just before the next event, time to give you a glance around this gorgeous place that we're in. That's the Black River Gorge at the southern end of the island. It was actually a hideaway for runaway slaves. Mauritius generally is a very lush place, full of wildlife like those long-tailed parrots. And like most islands, a lot of Mauritian wildlife is endemic. It's unique to the island. You don't tend to find those pecking off your milk bottle tops at home. And some other unusual spectators we found who showed an interest in the proceedings. Well, they're in for a treat, because on the lagoon at Lococo Beach, it's the axe hold, a real stamina test, and enough to inspire butterflies in any man's stomach, even the huge Magnus Samuelsson. Magnus, we know that this next event, the axe hold, is one that you're worried about. So we've done you a favour. We've got you in a special trainer to teach you how to do it.
Sounds good.
Would you like to come in, Christine? Yeah. It's actually your wife. You probably recognise her. Okay. Amazing!
Well, Christina achieved 28 seconds, and those are the real axes. There's going to be some major embarrassment here if any of the big men don't get past that target. The arms have to be kept straight, and the top of the axe must keep the electronic contact in position.
Ready!
Raimund Bugmanis must keep the 10.5 kilo axes rock solid for as long as possible. The first few seconds always appear easy, but the strain on the shoulder and the arm muscles doesn't take long to create a lot of pain. And then it's just a case of gritting your teeth. Venenberg in front, checking the time. It's a good time, though. Olympic weightlifters not renowned for massive strength in the arms, but this man is doing well. 50 seconds. Anything over a minute will be a superb performance. Just try holding a 1 kilo bag of flour or sugar at arm's length for a minute and multiply that by 10 and you've got the idea. This is a good time, 65.55 seconds as the buzzer goes. Bugmanis has set a big target. Well, Colin Cox is next. He's down in 5th place. He needs a big performance here.
Out, Greg, bottom, Greg.
The officials just adjusting the axes. Oh, just a little problem there with the left arm, but he's composed now. I hate to admit it, but when I tried this event and nobody was looking, I managed about 20 seconds before the axes fell to the ground. But Colin looks as though he's in control. It's a bit like that story about banging your head against a brick wall. It's wonderful when it stops. There's Olesh, he goes next, and the leader watching with interest. Coming up towards 40 seconds. His arms are bending just a little bit there, and there it goes, 41.6 for Colin Cox, and that really hurt. Not a lot of action in this event, but the crowd appreciating a difficult test. Incidentally, Mrs. Magnuson is a blacksmith in her day job, so she's used to physical labor. Magnus is a farmer. He's a very fit man. But I have to say, he's got incredibly long arms, which I think is a definite disadvantage here. We know those arms and shoulders are strong, though. This is the man who broke Nathan Jones' arm in the arm wrestling last year. He's finding this very, very hard. Despite Christina's vocal support, he keeps checking the sides just to make sure he's keeping those electronic contacts in place. He's gone well past Colin Cox's time. He's now going to chase Bugmanis. He must score some good points here. He's in last place at the moment. This is his best performance so far, 61.55 in 2nd place, and that was a great effort. Still 3 men to go, though, so will it be enough? Well, it's still very hot here, and that's one way of staying cool. Heinz Olesh up next, joint leader with Regan Vagadal. And Olesh, the original gentle giant. And his target now has to be over a minute to make sure he gets a big score going into the last event. Remember, Forbes Cowan in the last program had a comfortable lead at this stage, and it really did take the pressure off. But this heat is so close. Just 2 points between the top 4 men. And just remember, 2 men qualify for the final. Chasing Colin Cox's time of 41.6. His whole body locked up. He goes past that. Oh, 44.69. That was rather sudden. He gets 3rd place. 4 down and 2 men to go. Well, the crowd have seen some great performances today. But look at this. Olesh, obviously not happy with his time, gets consolation from girlfriend Bryndis. Actually, the strongest woman in Iceland. Now, a chance for Regan Vagadal. The first time he's done any of these events, which makes his performances even more incredible. And this man studying to take his sea captain's exams. In total control at the moment. It's his coach who seems to be anxious. Now, he's creeping up on Colin Cox's and Heinz Olesh's time. Venenberg prowling, the last man to go. He's gone past the Kiwi and the German, and now for the Swede. Can he make 60 seconds or more? No, he can't. 55.9. He's in third place and can finish no worse than fourth. Big applause for Vagadal.
Little strange to hold it. I feel like you're losing it.
You double.
Okay.
Double.
I should let actually.
Yeah.
Bergmanis there in pole position explains how it should be done. But only one man can prevent the Latvian from winning his second event. Here he is, Beren Vandenberg, who is just 1 point behind Olesh and Vagadal. Bergmanis wants 6 points, but so does Beren Vandenberg. His coach wants him to win as well. This gym owner has all the right credentials for this event. Massively strong arms, a huge chest and big shoulders. And now he moves in on the challengers. He's aiming for Colin Cox's time. He's gone past that. Now for Olesh. He's beaten the German's time as well. Vagadal is the next one at 55 seconds. What an effort. He's very close to third place. Oh, the axes go crashing to the ground. 53.87. He finishes fourth. I don't think he's going to be happy with that.
Well, Magnus didn't dare do badly after his intensive training with Christina. It paid off, though. That's the best he's done in an event so far.
Needed actually a fifth event to make it all up. In this sport, you have to always have a little bit of luck. If you got events that fits you, then you can score high. And the opposite can always happen.
Samuelsson at the opposite end of the leaderboard to where he wants to be. It's Bergmanis and Vagadal heading the top four, just 2 points separating all of them.
But there is a big chance now that you can make it to the final.
После завтра мы все это узнаем.
And off we go to the Mauritian capital, Port Louis, for the last event. It's always on the go and there's a whole different set of sights, smells and sounds, lots of wheeling and dealing, a complete contrast from the laid-back beaches. Behind us now, the harbour in Port Louis, bursting at the seams with fishing boats. Like any other island harbour, it never stops being busy, even for this event. Now, we're on the Place d'Armes for the last event in this heat, and you may notice that there's chains all along the road supported by half-submerged cannons as a symbol of peace. Not that the peace is going to last very long, because this is the only event in all 4 heats where the competitors race against each other at the same time. And this isn't your normal 50-metre dash. Oh no, they'll be carrying 200-kilo weights, which is about the same as carrying 2 15-stone people.
I think this is going to be one of my best events, so I feel pretty confident.
I have to win. That's the only thing was in my mind. So only to go for it. I don't think about the points now and about the others. Costs too much energy. I think I need everything for this.
How are you feeling before this event?
Terrible nervous. Terrible. This, you have to do everything, and it's almost it's the final for me. Or you go home, or you can stay.
Nervousness and tension at the start of the 50-metre course. Samuelsson, it would be a miracle if he made the final now. Olesh, you heard what he said, he has to win. Vagadal, relaxed and thinks he can win. And Bergmanis, full of smiles and close to getting to the final. Vandenberg, will he stay or will he go? And finally, Colin Cox, dissatisfied with being in 6th place. The worst weather we've experienced so far, everyone except our strongmen wrapped up nice and warm.
Stand by, take a grip.
So a mad dash to the line, carrying 440 pounds. That's just like a small car engine. Samuelsson on the far side, trying to drag his along the ground. Colin Cox went down as well, but look at Vagadal streaking away. He said he could win this one. He's certainly in the lead. It's an unusual walking action from all of them. It's very awkward, but that's not surprising. It's going to be Regan Vagadal by a mile. Victory to the Faroe Islands, and he's in the final, but who's going to come second? Bergmanis, and that means he's in the final as well. The rest are well beaten. Vandenberg comes in, a solid 3rd place, but it's not enough. The form book is totally upset by those two. Olesh has blown his chance. Colin Cox, a long journey home awaits him. And Magnus, the honeymoon is over. Colin Cox destined to finish in last place. Magnus trying desperately to finish. I must find out what that means. But look at this, another 12 months of big training ahead of him, no doubt about that.
Oh, Magnus, such a shame, but amazing to see them all race together like that. It seems so easy for Regan. He just zoomed to victory.
The last event, totally decisive, giving us the top two men, Bergmanis and Vagedal, heading towards their first ever final.
Regan, are you looking forward now to the final?
I've never tried it before, so just have to wait and see.
And you've forgotten all about the head injury now?
Yes.
And Raymond, the final for the very, very first time.
Это будет первый твой финал? Да. Вторые соревнования, первый мой финал.
So, as the sun prepares to set on Mauritius, we've had drama and romance all in the one heat. Regan's head injury obviously wasn't that bad because he stormed through to the final along with Raymond's Bergmanis, but we all felt for Magnus and Christina. She could barely speak after all that shouting. So, only one more heat to go. 2 more places in the final to be filled. Will they be by our own Bill Pittock and Brian Bell, or the man who's already got European strongest man under his belt, the fearsome Riku Kiri? You'll have to wait till next time to find out. Bye.
And the world's strongest man is back tomorrow at 1:35, with the final at 6 o'clock, only here on BBC One.
Hello and welcome to the last qualifying heat of World's Strongest Man 1996. By the end of this programme, we'll have a complete list of finalists, and 2 more men will be preparing themselves for that ultimate challenge. What nicer place for the drama to unfold than Mauritius, the dream island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. This week, you can cheer on our very own Bill Pittock, who's come all the way from Northampton. But before the battle commences, here's Paul with the vital statistics.
Well, this is it. Our last list of 6 competitors, all taking part in 4 events, which are going to be just as tough as they have been in previous weeks. As you know by now, the scoring system is very simple. It's 6 points for a win in each event, 5 points for second, down to 1 point for 6th place. At the end of this week, we're going to know who our last 2 finalists are going to be, coming from a heat which contains 2 Britons who are desperately trying to make a name for themselves and perhaps even win a title that was last won by a British competitor 4 years ago. That was Gary Taylor, the Welshman, who unfortunately this year is injured. But didn't he give us a lot of pleasure when he won the title so convincingly in Orange in France?
Taylor really going very well indeed. This is great stuff. He's on the last one now. Up it goes, he's done it. The fastest time of anybody. To repeat that victory, Bill Pittock from Northampton would have to produce the performance of his life. He'll have to do that anyway to make it through the heats. Brian Bell from Scotland is a last-minute substitute for this year's competition, but as a recent world record breaker in the bench press, he's in tremendous shape. Derek Boyer is new to this sort of challenge. A flamboyant South Sea Islander, he has the look of a man who could produce some impressive performances. Sven Carlsen is another new name in the hunt to find the strongest man in the world. A former bodybuilder, he looks to have all the right credentials. Riku Kiri has been runner-up in this competition before. He's looking in fantastic form and quietly confident he can go all the way. Flemming Rasmussen has shown in the past he's always capable of a big performance when it matters. He's the current strength champion of Denmark.
And not one of those fine men able to relax on the gorgeous beaches here, where some people have nothing more to worry about than who's nicked their bucket. At La Coco Beach Hotel, the scene is being set for a real stamina test, the carry and drag. So are the nerves a drag?
I haven't really had time to get nervous, and I haven't done any competitions at this level, so I'm just out to prove myself and hope I can beat some of the top ones.
I'm a lot fitter this year. I don't know about my strength, I'm very fit, so the next event should suit me, hopefully. It's just Kiri. He's got to worry about Kiri. He's awesome.
Riku, we've been talking to a lot of the world's strongest men here this year, and they said that this year could be the year you win it. What do you think about that?
No, itse olen valmis. Kaikki tietysti haluaa voittaa ja sitten on aina puheita, että toi voittaa ja toi voittaa. Ja jos säilyy terveenä ja Anni on mukana, niin varmaan menee hyvin.
So the talking is over, and this is where our 6 men start their bid for the final, carrying and dragging some huge weights over a course of 60 metres. First of all, Sven Karlsen of Norway. We've got a nautical theme in this event. The first object, the anchor, weighs in at a mere 100 kilos, 15.5 stones for 30 metres. And just wait until you see what they've got to drag back to where they've just started. The first leg over, and look at this. 5 giant links of chain weighing 50 kilos each, 550 pounds in all, the equivalent of 2 20-stone men. Keeping a strong position in this event is very, very difficult indeed, and the grip is very important. 10 metres to go for Karlsen. He looks as though he's running out of steam, though. Oh, my goodness, he's exhausted now. Kiri and his wife, Elizabeth. Kiri goes next. As we've seen in previous heats on these types of events, another metre gain can make a big points advantage. So close to the finish, but he's had enough. Very tough going, but a good opening performance. Well, that's the easy way to get the anchor to the start. No problems there. Sven Karlsen, what an introduction to his first world's strongest man. Riku Kiri now, the strong man's favourite to go well, but the Finn is looking very nervous indeed. Oh, what a start. He's making tremendous strides down the course. Looks very easy so far. And the cameraman on the left having difficulty keeping up. Now the biggest test of strength and endurance. The distance he has to beat. Karlsen's 54 metres 80 centimetres to go into the lead. And at this rate, he's going to do it very easily indeed. And Karlsen realises that Kiri, I think, is going to beat him. Riku looking bigger and fitter than I've ever seen him before. That is fantastic. 53 seconds dead. Impressive. Elizabeth applauds. A great performance. Riku Kiri away to a cracking start. Now it's England's turn through Bill Pittock, his second year of World's Strongest Man competition. The Northampton man didn't make the final last year, but he's determined to put up a good fight this time. Looking comfortable with the weight, which is about the same as an England rugby prop forward. And Kiri has really set an awesome time. And Bill looks as though he's not quite as fast on that first leg. But here we go with the big chain. This guy is very, very popular with the crowd and his fellow competitors. And you get some impression there just how difficult this is. Kiri's time is not going to be beaten. That's on the left-hand side of the screen. Looking confident, the Finn, isn't he? He needs a bit further. Now, come on, Bill. I think he's gone past Sven Karlsen. Oh, dear me. Look at this. He staggers away. He's finished. The referee, I think, telling him he was safe in second place.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced anything as hard as that before?
No. That was hard. Very heavy, the chain's heavy. Whew.
Ready. Brian Bell, our Scot, the next to go.
Look. Stand back.
And incidentally, Bill's distance was confirmed at 55 metres 04, so he did finish ahead of the Norwegian by just 24 centimetres. And now Brian Bell gets his chance. The first leg, looking comfortable, but again, not as fast as Riku Kiri. Just taking his time over towards the chain, and who can blame him? Oh, well, that's the first time we've seen anybody grip it like that. There's going to be a huge amount of pressure, though, on his right arm. He's a big, muscular man who broke his world record for the bench press with a weight in excess of those chains. But he hasn't had much time to prepare for this sort of competition as a late substitute. He's got just over 5 meters left. Oh, that's Forbes Cowan, who's already qualified for the final, cheering on his fellow Scot, but I think Bryan is finished. He's staggering all over the place. He's short of the mark. He's in 4th place. Our 4th first-time competitor, Derek Boyer, a really flamboyant character. Can he complete the course? Only one man has done it so far. The first part has looked easy for all the men. It's this massive chain that's presenting them with all the problems. Well, he's clasped both his hands around one of these 110-pound links. Derek, well over 6 feet tall, needs to keep his back straight and the chain close to his body. There's Bill Piddock, wondering whether Boyer can go past Svend Karlsson first, and then Bill Piddock's mark. Oh, just about everybody except Kiri has gone down at that point. Well, he's certainly gone past Bryan Bell. Look at this, he's nearly at the finish. Oh, trying to dig his feet into the tarmac just for that extra meter. Dougie Edmonds, the referee, blows his whistle, 72.87. He's in 2nd place. So just one competitor to go as the course is relayed, and the organisers really have come up with a tough start to this heat. Flemming Rasmussen is the last man to try and take victory from Riku Kiri. Well, Rasmussen may well weigh over 140 kilos, but he's moving very well. In fact, all of these men can move very fast over short distances, and he hurls the anchor to the ground. Here goes the chain. And this man, believe it or not, a former 10-pin bowling champion. I bet he could throw the ball at a heck of a speed. And just to recap, Kiri's time was 53 seconds for completion. Rasmussen won't beat that. Oh, almost a backward roll there from the Dane. Kiri now knows he's won this event. Now, can Rasmussen beat Derek Boyer's time of 72.87? I think he's going to settle for 3rd place. That's it, he's had enough. And Rasmussen staggers away as well.
So all the men absolutely shattered by that, one of the toughest events I think we've seen so far. And 3 more to go, so barely time to recover. We come to a transformed volleyball arena for event 2 in this heat, which, although you may not recognise it from last year, is the Atlas Stones. Now, the men compete in pairs, and this year they have to heave these huge stones up onto the wall behind me. But it's a lot tougher than it looks, because as they go along the course, each stone gets heavier, culminating in this one, which is 135 kilograms. That's 20 stone. That's probably about the same as lifting up Bill Piddock. Imagine doing that when you're already exhausted. So I reckon the key to this event is pacing yourself, as well as having the sheer strength to do it in the first place.
And the fastest time wins, of course, and there's our first 2, Bryan Bell and Svend Karlsson nearest the camera. This event always a feature of the many strength contests held at Scottish Highland Games each year. Dougie Edmonds there, our referee, who conceived many of these tests. The first target, 95 kilos, on the highest point of the wall, and be very careful it doesn't roll off. Svend Karlsson on the left, just ahead of Bryan Bell, and both men will certainly try and pace themselves in readiness for that 5th stone, the heavier one, and both will want better points this time around. Karlsson has completed the 2nd, but there's Bryan. Karlsson now, ahead by some distance. Bryan is well behind now. That is number 4 for Norway. The initial pickup is very, very difficult. Bryan is successful, though, with the 3rd. And Svend Karlsson has got a very fast time, 45.51. He really enjoyed that. Now come on, Brian, the last stone. You really do need long arms to be effective on the heaviest one of all. If he fails here, his time for the fourth stone will count, and that is it. Riku Kiri preparing, he and Derek Boyer are the last pair, and they're both looking very relaxed. Flemming Rasmussen closest, and England's Bill Pittock up now. Rasmussen a distinct advantage on the highest part of the wall, being much taller by a good few inches than the Englishman. Bill Pittock just behind at the moment. The Dane is not hanging about. Pittock with his second. Rasmussen now with the third. This is a good performance. Pittock has certainly lost ground. Flemming beginning to find the fourth stone very difficult. 125 kilos, but there it is, and the time is fast. Bill looking very awkward. Those rubber forearm wraps helping with the grip. Here comes the last one. It's inside Carlson's time, 42.35. Tremendous. Now Bill Pittock still working very, very hard. He's going to have to. This one weighs 135 kilos, very nearly 20 stones. If unsuccessful, his time for the fourth stone will count, and certainly on that basis, he's ahead of Brian Bell. Derek Boyer, the war paint on and raring to go. Riku Kiri, muscles all over the place. Well, it's the first time that Derek has ever done this event. On the other hand, Riku Kiri knows it very well, but it's Boyer who races ahead on the first. Riku just a fraction behind. Boyer a very fast pace, but can he keep it up? There's two for both of them. And this is very, very fast from both men. The leading time is certainly under threat. The fourth stone, 19 stones in weight, and Kiri now is going into the lead. The first sign of trouble for Derek Boyer, and Kiri can smell victory, 35.87, well inside Rasmussen's time. Boyer, well, this is a big contrast to the start. And Riku just coming up and telling him to lift. Now come on, Derek, lift it up there. Riku Kiri firmly in the driving seat now. That's it. He's had enough on four as well, but Riku has won again.
Well, the war paint didn't seem to help Derek too much, and our own homegrown Bill has another disappointment, only coming fifth.
Flemming, congratulations. It was very fast, but not quite fast enough. Riku's time was incredible.
Yeah, I thought I could beat Riku in this, but he's amazing. If he, when he gets to the final, the other guys should watch out. He's very strong and very fast. It's amazing.
Well, you heard it here first. 2 out of 2 for the in-form Riku Kiri, with just a single point separating the next two men.
I don't think anybody has been through the heats in World's Strongest Man winning 4 events. You have won 2. Can you win everything?
Yritän tietenkin voittaa kaikki. Lajit, eli vielä 2. Ja sitä kautta päästään finaaliin ja sitten haetaan taas sieltä voittoa.
Away from the struggles and strength tests, the Grand Bassin Lake in the south of Mauritius is regarded as sacred by Hindus, and young or old, they make pilgrimages to the many different temples nestling around it. The water itself is believed to be linked in some way to the Ganges and is treated as holy. All year round, Mauritians of all ages bring offerings of fruit along with their prayers to the universal creator, the god Shiva. Lakoko Beach seems a world away, but it's only over on the east coast of the island, where we're preparing for an event of tactics.
And there's the current situation. All of our men are still in the contest. Derek Boyer, the only one with a failure to his name. A lot of tactics here, as Philippa said, in terms of the weight selected. Only 5 attempts in total are allowed, and what a venue for a weightlifting contest. The bar now being raised to a shade over 400 pounds, 185 kilos. And it's Sven Carlson, the first to attempt it. The sun directly in their faces, hence the shades. Onto the shoulders, a strong drive up with the legs and then the arms, and it's a good lift. And even the referee chuckling at Sven's antics. Brian Bell, now his 4th weight attempted in total, and this would be a very good performance for the Scot if successful at 185. He's certainly got strong arms, but you need powerful legs here too. Now, come on, Brian, a big push. Yes, he gets it. And that is going to give his confidence a real boost. That's Peter on the left and Claude, our 2 testers, increasing the weight now to 190 kilos. Mystified as to how they can lift so much, and Bill Pittock is the next to try. The new weight, and Bill needs this one. He's not renowned for being a great lifter in this sort of event. He's certainly going to give it his best shot. Explosive leg power is what's required. Oh, he's going to try it again. He's quite entitled to do that. Come on. Not quite, and the referee's saying put the bar down. He will be able to take this weight again though, but one failure is not good news for Bill Pittock. Flemming Rasmussen now, like Brian Bell, his 4th weight in the competition. He's got very strong arms and shoulders, but good technique is required as well. Oh yes, good lift. Oh, and that platform is taking a real battering as the rocks come crashing down, and Bill is impressed too. It's Riku Kiri next, and there's wife and coach Elizabeth. Riku Kiri there getting really psyched up for this lift. Look at that, he's got a very wide grip indeed, not surprising. He's got enormous shoulders. Now this has got to be very fast and powerful. A little bit of a bounce, drives it upwards. It's a failure. He did not lock out his arms. His wife looking concerned. Carlson, he's not concerned at all. And Boyer, he has his chance in a moment. The same weight again for Bill Pittock. If he fails this one, he's out of the competition, and it's another low score for the Englishman. Ooh. Now come on, Bill. It was too much last time, but he's got it. The referee says yes. A great effort. Boyer has to follow that. And this is his 5th and last attempt. Kiri's got one more. A picture of concentration. And this man has a huge desire to get this lift. It really is a massive weight. Over 30 stones. Come on now, Derek. Heavy strapping on that right leg. Hope he's not injured. Lots of preparation here. He shouldn't waste any effort. No, he can't get it. Boyer will finish in 6th and last place. It is going to be so disappointed. We now move up to 195 kilos, a small increase, but it could make all the difference to this man, Sven Carlson. If he's successful, he can take a big advantage here. If he gets it on the first attempt. He's so strong in the arms, and he's got to be rock steady at the top. He's wobbling a bit, and the referee says no. Bill Pittock very satisfied with what he's done. And Riku Kiri, you might have heard that, getting encouragement from everywhere, especially wife Elizabeth. Now, if he fails this one, he's out and down in 5th place. If successful, it could be a 3rd straight win. He's shaking under the pressure of the bar. It's no lift, Dougie Edmonds says, and the Finn only gets 2 points. Oh my goodness, that arc light nearly laid Bill out, and Kiri is not pleased. And interestingly enough, Sven Carlson has had the bar put up to 200 kilos, deciding not to take his 2nd attempt at 195. This could mean victory if he's successful, and it's up. It's rock solid for the Norwegian. First attempt on the new weight. That's his coach. He's delighted. What a performance. Oh, marvellous. And takes pole position. Oh, not again, says Bill. Well, the crowd have certainly seen some fireworks here. Can Fleming match Sven pound for pound? It's his last lift of the competition. There's certainly some adrenaline flowing through his body. The competition will go on if he's successful here, with just 2 men in. Oh, it fails. He'll have to be content with second place, and victory goes to Norway for the first time in this heat. Sven Karlsen, the man of the moment.
Well, that's one way of breaking the tension. I don't think any of them were sorry to see the end of that event, especially Riku. But Sven's happy at least.
I was a little worried about this today because I had a little shoulder problem for the last few weeks, so I was like kind of worried. But on the last lift, I didn't care about anything. I just wanted it.
So Riku Kiri is not invincible after all. Just 2 points separating the top 3 with 1 event to go. The pressure is mounting.
Fleming, were you disappointed?
No, I'm very happy to get second in this, and it's a tough day tomorrow, but I got 2 points down to Karlsen, and I think it's okay.
Are you at all worried about tomorrow's event and the fact that there are 2 other men very close to you?
Huomisalan jälkeen meillä on isompi ero.
And for that event, we move from the tranquil coast to the hustle and bustle of the Mauritian capital. Usually, the Place Dam here in Port Louis is chock-a-block with traffic. There's more vehicles here usually than at any other point on Mauritius. But today, for this final event, only 2 cars will be travelling down it. These cars both have their engines still in them, so they weigh a massive 380 kilos. And they've had their seats and their floors removed so that the men can drive them a la Fred Flintstone all the way down the 25-metre course.
That's what faces Brian Bell and Bill Pittock in this last event, drawn in reverse order of the overall scores. And a bit disappointing. It doesn't look as though either of these 2 will be in the final, but they really have given us value for money with some real moments of passion and a lot of humour as well. Those wide straps taking the pressure off the shoulders just a little bit. And balance, as you can imagine, is so important, but massive strength as well to get the 380 kilos moving as fast as possible. And Pittock is fastest at the moment. A very good effort from Bill Pittock. Bell, that crushing weight bearing down on him. And Bill Pittock is going to produce a fast time here, winning by a considerable margin, 21.55. Well done, Bill Pittock. Brian, about 5 meters to go, but he's down. Now, come on. One last effort. There he goes. Well done, Brian, as well. And Bill Pittock enjoying his last event. Heinz Olesch on the left, giving a few tips to Fleming, who is close to making the final. Oh, I don't think we were supposed to hear that. Derek Boyer getting ready. It's obvious he's made some new friends here. And Sven Karlsen, who I think must win this event if he wants to go through to his first final. Level pegging over the first 5 meters. Boyer taking very small steps and looking good. Sven Karlsen shaking a little bit. And Derek Boyer is just edging ahead. That's bad news for the Norwegian. Boyer is almost running. He's going to beat Bill's time. 20.37, fantastic. Sven is finished down in 3rd place. All eyes, though, on Derek Boyer for the moment. Oh, he's on top of the car. The war is almost over now. Great stuff. So it's all down to these 2 heavyweights, and we've had some tremendous finishes to all of these heats. And this one will give us our last two finalists, but will it automatically be these two competitors, or has Carlsen done enough? Rasmussen will give his all here, that's for sure. Keary is confident he can do it. Oh, and it's Keary who's blasted away from the line. He always said he could do well here. Rasmussen can't finish too far off the pace. Keary's gone down, and so has Rasmussen. Well, it may be a bit early for Sven to celebrate. Keary's down once more, and the clock is ticking away. I think Derek Boyer is going to win this one. Keary finishes in 24.76 in third place, enough to qualify. And where has Rasmussen gone? That is a bit scary. Well, he's certainly going to need assistance. The crowd are a bit stunned. Oh, thank goodness for that. He's okay. His time was slow. And has he made it through to the final?
Shocks all round. No one expected to be run over by a 2CV, but they were all walked over by Derek this time.
Despite the crash, Flemming Rasmussen just made it through to the final. And although Riku Keary was a convincing winner, he was now injured. Riku, a couple of years ago, you had a broken ankle. Is it the same one?
Vanha vamman uusiutuminen ja nyt se on vähän pahempi vielä kuin ensimmäisellä kerralla. Katsotaan riittääkö aika sen paranemiseen finaaliin.
I'm just glad to be in the final.
How glad?
So glad.
That's it then. It's all over. We have our finalists. Shame neither Bill or Brian got through, but between them and Derek and his war paint, it was a great event. The final will be an hour special with 8 events, which all look to me more terrifying than anything they've attempted so far. We can guarantee you lots of excitement, tears and triumphs. So make sure you watch the world's 8 strongest men battle to be the best.